Hey, it's Underwood back with another True to Game video. And before I get into the topic for this video, I'd like to extend a huge thanks to all of my subscribers. At the time I'm doing this video, I have 104 subscribers, and I've only been doing videos for about a month. So the fact so many of you taking the time to subscribe to me, I really do appreciate that. That really gives me a lot more energy to keep pushing forward and doing this and making more videos to hopefully entertain you guys. And for anyone that has any sort of questions, please always feel free to send them in my inbox. I really greatly appreciate comments and video responses, and I've gotten so many of those. And for all of you who have done that, I really appreciate them. I appreciate them if you agree with me. I appreciate them if you disagree with me. Feel free to challenge me on anything. I like to get into the heart of discussion of the matter, and I'm not touchy about those sort of things. So always feel free to leave any sort of comments, and I do appreciate those. I think I responded to just about all of them. So thank you again to everyone who has subscribed. I really do appreciate it. My topic in this video is going to be Paladin's special mounts. Now, what I play for D&D currently is 3.5. And in 3.5, Paladins get a special mount at 5th level. But the mounts they get, at least in the way that I look at them, suck. I've never given someone basically a Baller Warhorse. I think that's just trash. If I was playing a Paladin in someone's game and that's what they gave me, I would just think, wow, what a horrible lack of creativity on this game master's part. And I'd really like to hear any sort of comments on yourselves in terms of if you have played Paladins, what sort of mounts you've gotten. If you like just having a Baller Warhorse, or if you have had special sorts of animals or magical creatures or what have you as your mount, and how you like that and how you're able to interact with that. Over the years, I've had a number of Paladins in different games that I've ran. Almost all of them are lawful good. One was lawful evil. I've never had a chaotic good or a chaotic evil Paladin in any game I've run. I also will allow true neutral, not the 3.5 neutral alignment, but the old school AD&D alignment of true neutral, because they're a very strong sort of aligned character. I also allow that alignment to be Paladins. Of course, there's some changes I have for Paladins of that alignment, but I think with a balancing aspect, they can make a very compelling, interesting character. The character in a game I ran that was, this guy played this character for about 2 years. His name was Charles Mercadius. He's he eventually started off as lawful neutral, shifted to lawful good, wound up down the road as lawful evil. He has a nightmare for his paladin. He has not figured out how to make it be able to use Ether Jaunt if it can. However, he acquired it on a long, interesting quest that I was really able to get lots of mileage out of, and I think that's really the big key, and something I really don't like with the way they did 3rd and 3.5. They sort of took that fluff or flavor out in terms of Paladins not being able to have so many magic items, Paladins having to do special quests to get Great Holy Swords, special quests to get mounts, and I think that stuff is really where there's so much money in that class when you do those sort of things, and I really get a lot of mileage and a lot of fun out of them. So I certainly bring those ideas to bear. Now, I think 5th level is a bit early to get something that powerful. So Paladins are usually several levels back. Usually a 5th level might be when you start your quest to do something like that. Maybe by the time you're 7th or 8th level, you actually have it. But, still well worth it because, you're going to get something really great, really, that you're going to look back and remember fondly in my games. I'm going to go over later a few of the other mounts that I've given out to players. But he in this campaign setting, it was very rich. I had almost 500 gods that I'd created, and his character, while worshiping Duhul, the god of death, had relations with other gods, and he'd become very friendly with the high priest, which would actually be, in a Forgotten Realms terminology, like a chosen of the god Opiate, the god of dreams. And this priest sent him on an astral quest, and going through it, finding himself going through the astral, eventually ending up in Gehenna, and we really described the great waste and the cracking landscape around him, and the land sort of rising up with almost like tendrils under it. And I really went into this very deep, vivid, gothic, horrendous description of the place. And he eventually finds he's on this quest to find a night hag, and he eventually finds her in this large bazaar of all these strange entities, undead creatures, and all sorts of things that are at this bazaar selling wares that aren't the sort of wares you would normally encounter. We go through vivid descriptions of this, and he basically has to sell off memories and emotions, and this is something the character is used to sell to this day. How horrible it is to have had those good times from his early childhood plucked from him. He doesn't have those memories anymore. They're completely gone, as if that time never happened, or it did, but there's sort of a scab over it, a bruise that just won't heal in his psyche, as they've taken those from him, as they've taken his ability to have any level of fear, and he reacts incorrectly sometimes to things that are coming towards him. And we've gone into a lot of selling as they've taken these things from him, and he was able to find appropriate equipment for catching a nightmare and acquiring exactly where they were, and we did a whole thing there, and he was almost drugged to death trying to capture this nightmare, and finally taming it to some degree, was able to get back to his material world home on the Prime, and he found a lot of trouble when he dealt with this nightmare. He had lands and property, and he was engaged, and the nightmare, he ate one of his servant's arms. It just started attacking her, just viciously ravaging her when he became hungry, and he would have to just do a big battles of wills. And it took many weeks of game sessions to slowly to gain some control. And he doesn't have 100% control now, but some control. I also put another limitation on the creature, that it can only come out at night. He carries a torch with the eternal fire of the god of flame, Morgul, in the game, and the nightmare resides during the day inside the torch. It will just step in. He can cast it out from dusk till dawn. It will be able to ride from. Otherwise, it has to remain inside his torch. And you can look in the torch and you see these deep, inky black wells of eyes staring malevolently back at you. And it's really given us a lot of mileage to go, and it helps limit the power just a bit. But it also helps him to be able to keep it away from having to come up with the ideas of where on earth would you put this creature when it's not inside a scene. If it's he has to go someplace or another, and it creates a headache there as well that's avoided. But that was more of a bonus. I definitely went with the flavor there, and I said, just make things a bit easier. Also, I've given out to Paladins. I've given out a Pegasus. I've given out a near like 8-legged horse to a Paladin of Tyr. I've given out a Griffin. So these are all animals that I've given out. I really thought would be an interesting idea is to give out a cockatrice and mount, sort of like a Golden Axe style. If you remember those, the big pink cockatrices they had in there, they had the stunted wings, and I thought putting like some kind of mask over it so it could still see, but you could pull the mask off and then it could use it petrify and gaze that way. I thought that would be really interesting, just bumping it a cockatrice up to large size and using that sort of old Golden Axe style image. If you've seen that game, if you haven't, it looks like a huge pink sort of lizard chicken thing, most repulsive, but it had this large, like it could swing around and it would attack you by using basically what would be a trip attack with its tail. And I definitely could integrate that into the character. Probably give it make it large size and give it an expanded extra 5 foot of reach beyond that for a trip attack, and give it some kind of mask and some sort of very strangely built saddle, because the saddle had to be far more built up, because the thing would be much more squat and low to the ground, so that your legs weren't just dragging against the ground. You have to have a different built saddle. There's some ideas I had for a mount as well, but I like to really do it special. I like to do it big to make sure that people are really getting that wow factor, that awe when they're going to receive a mount. I think that if it's just it's a celestial horse, even that I think is kind of lame, and if it's just the normal Warhorse that they put there to say, well, make it a really great one. I think that's just trash. So if you like that, please defend that idea. If you don't like that, tell me why. If you've had cool mounts in the game, I'd like to hear about them. I'd like to hear how they impacted your game, impacted the party. What sort of mounts you think are neat. What kind of mounts you might like to have in a game, but you never had the opportunity to have. I'd like to hear about that.